cock-a-noodle soup. The Bachelor's Kelsey has a super hot silver fox dad, and Joan digs guys who drive station wagons. You are watching Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Recap, Golden Bachelorette Season 1. And we're discussing and dissecting the second chance romance journey of widow Joan Vassos as she searches for a partner with whom to share the sunset years of her life. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Tiffany Current.
Be sure to subscribe to Reader Seeks Romance Channel so that you don't miss weekly episodes of Romance Recap, only on YouTube. It's great to join you for yet another season of Romance Recap, Tiffany.
I'm excited. This actually seems like a good show to recap. I mean, after The Bachelorette, I felt really burned, but this made me feel so much happier to watch. I felt like there's a possibility of love. It felt real. I really enjoyed the show. How about you?
I feel cleansed. I feel my soul is cleansed from the darkness and the disappointment that was The Bachelorette season 21 with Jen Tran. The whole episode, very emotional,
I
but
know.
ultimately I felt great joy. So before we dig in, do you have any opening comments? What are your general impressions?
So far, I like it. I mean, I
Okay.
thought Joan would be boring, to be perfectly honest. I
Yeah.
like her. She seems warm.
Yes.
She seems warm. I really like the guys. There's a lot of fun personalities, a lot of sexy guys out there, a lot of funny guys. I think we're in for a good year. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I feel that we're going to be watching a very mature season, people acting like adults.
Yes.
I feel like it's going to be as close to what purists love about the show than any other season. If there is drama or if there is duplicity and shadiness, I will be surprised.
I would be surprised too, but so far I think we're on a good track. Let's dive in. Once again with these bachelorettes, we start with a close-up of clothing, just like the last time. This time it's golden shoes and jewelry and a sweet song. And you see Joan getting dressed in her golden gown, looking over California, and I'm thinking like she doesn't live there. I think she lives in Maryland. That's not the view.
She does live in Maryland.
I really enjoy the opening of getting to know her. We get to hear that about her life, about her husband of 33 years. I think it was John who died of pancreatic cancer, and it happened very suddenly, it seemed like, for her. And it was once again a very sad story of all these people who had love and then lost it. It's very kind of depressing, these the Golden Bachelor and Bachelor is kind of depressing. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of a downer.
I got choked up during a lot of moments. A lot of loss, but also hope. What I thought was interesting is that Joan's husband passed in 2021. I don't recall when she actually recorded, because as everyone knows, Joan was a contestant on The Golden Bachelor with Gary Turner. And so it was it only like a year or two?
It was just a year, because I remember we were both like, this is too soon for her. It was only like a year. He had died the previous year. So I think this is a little bit longer. Maybe she's ready for love, and I guess we'll find out.
She seems to be. Yeah, she seems to be ready.
I will say once again, because last year I remember really liking her jewelry. Once again, I was watching. She had just these gorgeous pieces on like a gold circle necklace. Did you see it? It's beautiful. Love her jewelry. I don't know what she's doing, but I love her jewelry. She needs a jewelry line. I'm just calling it. She needs a jewelry line.
I would love for her to have a jewelry line.
I would buy it. I would like it. But I'd say we kind of start there, and from right away we just kind of just push right into, I guess, the Bachelor Mansion, her standing out front. Jesse comes out. They're very excited to see each other. I guess it's been a year and a half. I don't know how long it's been.
I have a note to ask you a question at this point.
Yeah.
So have you forgiven Jesse? Because at the Jen Tran Bachelorette season finale, you were pretty pissed off at him for asking questions that just delved further into Jen's trauma and sadness, and you thought that he was a bit relentless
He
even
was.
a little ruthless about his questions. So, have you forgiven him? Because I know I have.
I didn't really think about it too much. I think it's because I felt like I did not see Jesse too much this episode, so I was not put off by him. I got just the right amount of Jesse. That's all that I need to see.
Yeah,
Just a minute, just a pinch. That's it for me now. That's
yeah.
it.
I've said it once, twice. I'll say it again. That man's got the best gig. He works for what?
He
Two
does.
minutes? Two
Two
minutes an
minutes.
episode?
2 minutes an episode. 2 minutes, I don't know, like once a week or something or other. It's a pretty fantastic gig. But let's get into the guys. I
Mhm.
was very surprised when Lima pulled up, and the very first person I believe was Pascal or Pascal. I was surprised he was the first one because I was like, who
Yeah.
is this Frenchman? Who is this
Because,
guy?
historically, if you think about the first person who comes out of the limo, they're usually a strong contender.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't see that for Pascal. Um,
I don't either. No, I mean, he's very cute, very suave, but I was like, he's not typically it is like this is who they think she's gonna end up with,
yeah,
and it's not gonna be him. I don't think it's gonna be him.
I don't think so either. Pascal's story is he was born in Paris, France. He lives in Chicago. He has a beautiful accent. He's a
Yes, he
salon
does.
owner,
Yes, he is.
69 years old, and he enjoys the finer things, including cars and clothes. Now, even though we know that Joan must enjoy jewelry, I don't feel like they're aligned with what they want out of life. Joan is looking for a
No.
kind family man with whom she can have adventures. This guy looks like he's all down for adventures, but I don't
Yes.
know. He seems a little bit like he's got this very casual lifestyle that he's very happy in. So I don't know if he
He's
wants
very
to
French.
change to accommodate another person.
No, I think he's very French. Look, I think
Yes, he's very French.
this might be very good for her for just like for fun. He's a guy to just have fun with, and then she can meet the one she wants to go with. He's very suave, very sexy. I really enjoyed him. I enjoyed that accent, but I'm like, he's not the right fit for her.
And
Very charming.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
I love
You
your
are,
accent.
look at you.
Thank
My
you,
God.
thank you.
How do you feel to be the first Golden Bachelorette?
I feel like the luckiest person in the world.
I think he'll probably go far. I don't think he'll
Yes.
make it to hometowns because I
No.
think when it comes right down to it, she's looking for someone who reminds her of her husband.
Yeah, that's true.
And they didn't mention what happened to his wife or partner. So I assume it might be a divorce situation. They didn't mention that he lost
know.
anybody. Also seems to have kind of a late teens child.
Yes.
So I
I
don't
don't know if
know.
he's late
Yeah.
teens or 20s. I couldn't figure out I don't know, they're French. I couldn't figure out
Yeah,
the age.
right. So I
I
also
couldn't figure out.
wonder, does Joan want to be in a mother role, because some of these men have younger
That's
kids,
true.
not babies, but
That's
it
true.
does make you wonder. But yeah, Pascal, well, I think he's super entertaining and charming and he's very worldly. I don't think that he's a partner for what's her name?
I
For
for Joan,
June.
for Joan. As the evening went on, I was like, I'm really digging this guy's accent. He would be a lot of fun. But from there we got a couple other people. I think someone named Kim didn't find that interesting.
Well, you
But
didn't find Kim. Well, Kim's the retired
no, I
naval
didn't.
officer.
I didn't. Did you?
Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you, I paid attention and I even highlighted in my notes the gentlemen whose backstories were revealed to us.
Okay, yes.
Historically, if they do a bit of a deeper dive, that means that these men have longevity on the show.
I
So,
know we heard about his wife dying. I didn't feel a love match.
well,
Didn't feel a love match.
I don't feel a love match, but I think he's a solid contender. I think he's probably needs to lighten up. He's a very
Yes.
intense guy. He comes dressed in uniform.
Yes.
69 years old from Seattle. He was divorced, then remarried, and was married for his second wife for 8 years, and then she passed
When she
away.
passed away. Yeah.
So, but he does come off very as a military person would be, kind
He
of
does.
rigid. And I don't know if he'd be into a lot of the adventure she's seeking.
No,
Although
I don't think so.
I don't know, but he seems like a very put together. He must be a viable candidate because they did backstory. Okay,
They did a backstory.
yes.
They did. I will say I liked Chalk. Is that how
Chalk.
you pronounce it? Chalk? Shock? How do you pronounce his name? The
Oh,
soup
no,
guy.
it is chalk. Immediately, you know what I thought of? Remember that coffee, chocolate nuts? Is that what it is?
No,
Chocolate nuts?
no, I don't even know that coffee. No,
Yeah.
that sounds
What did
awful.
you think of?
He reminded me of, I don't know what his name is. Is it Patrick Duffy from like Step by Step?
Oh my God, Patrick Duffy.
He
Wait,
looks like him, doesn't he?
you know
Totally
what?
looks like
I
him.
could see where you're going with this. Now I have to do a side by side. Now he's the one who made the homemade chicken soup,
That
choco
is
noodle.
correct. Yes, that is cute, memorable. Yes, I'll give him that.
I think it was weird to make her have chicken soup on the spot. I mean, what was she going to say? It's awful. I mean, of
I
course.
was watching it and I was like, do not drip that on her dress, man. It's soup. That could easily just do drip,
Yeah.
drip, drip, drop down her
Well,
golden dress. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
you don't want to smell like chicken soup the whole night.
No,
But
choco soup.
he's
Yeah,
from Kansas, so there's a chance that he's got very strong family feelings, into
that's very
family.
true.
He's 60 years old, a little bit younger than the first two that we meet at this point. Um, Insurance executive, the soup. I feel like he's not going to have enough zing for Joan.
I think later on he seems more interesting. In that moment, I wasn't really swayed by him. I did enjoy Jonathan, who came
Oh
out
yeah,
wearing that gold mask. He was a very attractive older man. Right when she
yeah,
took off the mask, she was kind of like va va voom herself when she saw his face because he
yeah.
was very va va voom. I liked him. I like
Oh,
Jonathan.
I like Jonathan a lot. I think he's a very strong contender. First of all,
Yeah.
I can't believe that man is 61 years old.
Amazing looking. The
Um,
skin, forget about it.
Yeah, a
Gorgeous.
beautifully fit man. His voice is rich. He has a
It's
very
very
rich,
rich.
like, voice. It's a full-bodied voice.
It's a
Um,
full body voice, and he had
he's
a full body. We're like, yes, sir.
he did. He's a shipping consultant in Oakland, Iowa. I double checked my notes. I was like, Oakland, Iowa. Isn't it Oakland, California? There
I
is an
know.
Oakland in
I
Iowa
I
as
heard that
well.
too. I was like, we're just learning about all these different cities. This is like a
Yeah.
really educational show. Who
Oh,
knew?
yes. And a quick note is that Jonathan was thoughtful in his choice of coming out with the blindfold because he tied it to Joan in
Hmm.
The Bachelor when she talked about feeling invisible and
You're
and
right.
that Gary
Yes.
made him feel visible again. And then Jonathan used that with his whole blindfolding. He said that, that resonated with me about feeling visible and so he wanted them to be able to lock eyes for the first time, you
I
know,
liked it.
after taking off the blindfold. So he put thought into it and
He
was talking
did.
about that theme of visibility, which I think a few other men might mention to her. The presentation was well thought out. I think I always, it was a little gimmicky using
Yeah.
the blindfold, but man, he's hot. He's
He
hot
was
stuff.
hot. I mean, he was hot. Did you have any other standouts? I have a couple other ones, but then some of them I was just like, all right, I get it, I
Yeah.
get it, I get it. But did you have any other standouts for you?
Yeah. There's a number of other guys that we don't really have to mention at this point, but there was a couple of other standouts. One of them was Jack.
Oh, of course, pink jacket.
So
Yep.
Jack is a real character.
Yes.
He's a caterer, 68 years old from Chicago, has a really thick Chicago accent. He comes out singing Sinatra's I Did It My Way. Now, what have we said about contestants who come out singing?
They never make it.
They
They
never make
never
it.
make it.
So Jack is kind of like the fun guy
Yes.
that I guess they keep around as a contestant
Yeah,
just
it's
to
true.
entertain us all.
I don't feel any pressure at all. I actually believe she liked my singing. And you know what? I gotta go with the flow.
I was surprised that he cooks so well. He didn't look like the type who would be such a caterer that cooked
I
gourmet
forgot that
meals.
he was a caterer until I saw him in the kitchen. I'm like, why is he cooking? And then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, he's a caterer. And that one guy, I forgot what his name is.
Charles L. Yes.
Charles was there. He was just sitting there eating the food, like, all right, let's just finish this food. Whatever he's making, I'm eating it. I was like, wow, it must be really good food.
Yes.
He spent
And
a long time on that.
they did. And I'm glad you mentioned Charles L. because Charles L. is who I was going to talk about next. And
Hmm.
Jack and Charles L. seem seriously more in love with the mansion than with Joan. because they spent all this time looking at all the rooms and marveling at how amazing it is. So I thought it's funny. I said, these guys are all, they seem like more taken with the experience as opposed to actually, partnering with Joan.
Unbelievable. I mean, I've been in some nice places, but probably never this nice. I'm in the Bachelor Mansion, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. It's the coolest place. I can't wait to jump in the pool. You do go in the pool, right? Look at this. It's almost like a hippie den.
Nice. It's real nice. Maybe we'll have a one party one night. Super. Fantastic. See? Beyond my imagination. Oh boy, they have a humongous refrigerator. Oh, lots of meat. Everything. Sure, before I came, I heard the word mansion, but I never thought it would be like this. It's just magnificent.
Charles L., 66, retired data analyst from Pennsylvania, gave such a sweet backstory about how he's lonely since his wife passed. They were married 36 years. He's got adult daughters. So they went into backstory. I think he's going to last, but not to hometowns.
Not to hometowns. He was very sweet. I didn't feel the connection between them, but he seemed very sweet. And I like how he interacted with the guys later. At some point, we can talk about, forgot the order, but Keith, we should talk about Keith, obviously.
We should definitely talk about Keith. Before we talk about Keith, I'd like to talk about the most cringe gimmick of the night. Okay. Charles K., 62, from Rancho Palos Verde, came out struggling with the cane and breathing heavily like he was in pain. It was a total act. I knew it was an act.
You all knew it was an act.
He made a meal out of it. Then he drops the cane. He's just dropping to the floor, doing push-ups. I was like, too much gimmick. Sorry, Charles, you're not making it past episode 3.
Let's get to Keith.
Yes.
He drives up in an old Volkswagen, and right away, Joan is just smitten. She's like, a Volkswagen, I love it. I love him.
Yeah.
She seemed really into Keith from the moment he stepped out of the car. And he seems very sweet, let's be honest. He was fun and loud and very warm, I feel.
Yes. Keith driving with it looked like a station wagon packed for a vacation. It had all sorts of packages and stuff, or luggage. At first I was like, oh boy, who's this guy with the station wagon? But man, he called it right. He got to the heart of what Joan loves and what she likes. She said it was very reminiscent of her own childhood. She wants a man who's going to go on adventures, but holds family so close to the heart. He mentioned, oh yeah, we could drive this down to the beach with some wine and crackers and cheese. And let me tell you, she would have gone with him that very minute if she could have.
Hey there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a lowrider.
Oh, gosh. This is hilarious.
Like this sweet ride?
She was super into it. He was very sweet. I really like Keith. He was very nice.
Really like Keith. He's from San Jose, California. And I mention that because a number of these men are from the West Coast, which I thought interesting because she does live in Maryland. It is
when I heard that he was from San Jose, I was like, guys, he has daughters. She has a whole family and a new grandchild. They're on opposite coast.
Yeah.
When you get to that age, you don't want to have to move your whole life because you have family. Family is important. You want to live by them. I don't know how it's going to work. Just saying.
I don't know either. I was texting with a friend of mine about this, and she was really disappointed that the showrunners, the producers for the Golden franchise, did not learn anything from Gary Turner's season. Joan keeps saying about how important her family is. All of these guys say how important their families are.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be a huge challenge. Now, producers know that, but they want to have that heightened conflict, right? But we want to see a win. I want to see a win.
I feel like, I don't know if there was anyone from Maryland or the East Coast area. It was very shocking because I was like, was there somebody there was somebody, Ken from Boston. I wrote that one down.
Ken from Boston, who doesn't make it.
He doesn't make it. But I was like,
Who's
we
the
need
other
to do,
person?
if it's a golden thing, people have set up their life, they're by their family or whomever. They don't want to move at that age.
Yeah,
Pick people in that region.
they
In that
don't.
region.
I think that, what was his name? Oh, wait, I got the guy. Pablo. Pablo, the retired United Nations agency director, 63. He seemed to be an international gentleman. He had an accent that I couldn't discern. And lives in Maryland. He doesn't make it past this
I feel
episode.
like they
which we'll
have to
get
do like the Love is Blind thing. When it's Love is Blind, they do everyone in
Yes.
the same
Yes.
area. It makes
Yes.
more logical sense. Let's get to the final person, I think. Let's talk about Mark, who was introduced by
Oh my
Kelsey.
God. Can we talk about Mark let me just say, he's the youngest at 57 of all of the gentlemen.
Okay.
Everyone else was 60 and above.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He is a silver fox.
He was very attractive.
Hot grandfather. Oh my God. Oh my God. He's like, you can almost, I got to find pictures of when he was younger. He must
You gotta relax, ma'am. You gotta relax. You're like, I want to see him in a Speedo. Here's my thought on Mark. I liked him. He seemed nice. I think they're setting him up to be the next Golden Bachelor.
I do too.
That's what I felt. I saw him like, he's gonna go a bit, but he's gonna be the next Golden Bachelor. He's not in game. I felt it. I saw it. They brought out the previous, I don't know, Bachelor girlfriend, wife, I don't know, whatever.
His daughter is Kelsey, who was in the last season of The Bachelor, season 28, with Joey Graziadei, and she won it, and they're engaged.
Yeah. All I know is I was like, this guy is the next Golden Bachelor. That's what they're setting it up to be.
I agree 1,000%. When I saw him, I said, oh, this guy is Golden Bachelor material.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So basically they put him on so that we all fall in love with him and then support him when he becomes the Golden Bachelor.
When he becomes the Golden Bachelor. Yeah. I completely agree with that.
She turns to Kelsey when eventually Mark leaves, and she's like, he's cute. Go call me mom. Like, I'm ready to go off with him.
He's an amazing family man, and that's exactly the kind of person I'm looking for. He's cute. Thank you. You just call me mom.
He's just prime Golden Bachelor.
It's TV real estate.
Yeah.
Moving past Mark, let's get into it.
Yeah.
What I liked about this is I like seeing all the men chatting. The very first person who pulled her away was Pascal to chat. Yeah. But what I liked seeing was all the men chatting together, being very kind to each other. I like how they were all kind of teasing the Frenchman about his accent. Like, oh, you and that fake accent.
The first thing you need is to be from Chicago with a fake French accent. I mean, do you know how long I've been working on that accent? I go back in France every year, at least twice a year, to keep that accent going.
Pascal takes her aside. He reads her a nice Father's Day card from his son, which I thought was very cute. And she seemed to like it as well. So I think they had a great moment together.
Yeah.
And then I think later on, she was talking, I don't know if you remember Gary. He was the black guy with glasses. And I think he called her on one of those old phones.
Yes. One of those old phones. You mean a landline, Tiffany?
Yes. Well, they don't exist now, Liz.
Well, I mean, you had a landline when you were a kid, though.
Of course, but that was forever ago. You don't have a landline now.
No, I don't. Did you have the push button landlines, or did you have the circular, the dial?
The push button. My grandmother had the circular, the dial. I had a push button. You?
Yeah. I had a push button, but my grandma had the dial.
Yeah, the dial.
I used to,
That was fun. It's like, woo!
Yeah, it was.
It's like a ride. It was exciting.
It was.
At one point, I think Jordan comes out. I think he's the one that brought her a gift for her grandchild. And did he also bring the pickleball racket? Is he the one that started the whole pickleball?
He mentioned pickleball, but here's the thing. I really think that was the producers shoehorning pickleball. For some reason, pickleball might be maybe the unofficial sponsor. Maybe they're bankrolling Golden, because they made pickleball a big focus in the first season, Golden Bachelor. Then all of a sudden, Jordan mentions pickleball. It's like, this sounds planned. And then all of a sudden they break into this impromptu pickleball game where everyone has
a ball, apparently.
And they're just smacking balls at each other.
They all had it. And Joan was like, I'm going to get hit in the face. And she could have gotten hit in the face.
Yeah. Excellent. Playing pickleball? Oh, no way. Oh, there we go.
Hi, guys.
whole team is out here. Let's go.
Hilarious. Okay, grab the paddles.
We all came out, we all grabbed a paddle and just started smacking balls around. Now, I live in Florida where pickleball is almost a religion. What was going on the driveway was not pickleball.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Everybody grabbed rackets, and there were balls flying everywhere. It was total chaos. They were hitting those balls hard.
Yes.
I know, I almost hit Joan. Dan smoked one right by her face.
That is not how you get a roast. I know, get out of the way.
We go from there. At some point, Jonathan pulls her aside and he says that he saw her on the Golden Bachelor last year and he liked her poem and he wrote her a poem. I thought that was very sweet.
It was sweet, but you know what's interesting? None of these things that you're speaking of, while I remember they happened, none of them resonated with me. I think there was thought put behind these things, but I didn't feel it in my heart.
What did you like any of them? Did you like any of the interactions?
No, not really.
No.
Like I didn't sit there at any of those interactions and say, wow, they're really connecting. This is really, this is why.
Yeah. This is why, because there's too many. There were just too
True.
many men. They all have different personalities. I understand what you're talking about. She did seem to have a very close connection with Keith, but I hear you. There was just too many men to the point where I was like, let's cut this in half already. Already by the end, I'm like, let's cut it in half. Let's get
It should be cut in half.
Guys. It's too many. It's too many for her, too many for me.
Her conversation with Keith seemed to be the most vulnerable, seemed like they were both sharing something. We do learn Keith's backstory that he divorced his wife. There were addiction issues on his wife's end. They didn't go too into that, but he was, a single dad for a while. He's a girl dad. He's got 3 daughters. So, we learn more about him. And then when she was talking to him, I did feel I felt something, but the other interactions, I was like, okay.
I mean, I can totally feel that. I think that's probably why she ends up giving him the first impression rose. That's the one who gets it. She walks all the way through the men and she gives the first impression rose to Keith. And not only that, she goes on to say that she felt safe with him and she kisses him, which was of note.
Yes, he got the kiss and the rose. It was meaningful. You could tell it was meaningful for her. She put feeling into it. And it was a gentle but meaningful kiss. So I was impressed because I was like, oh, is she gonna kiss anybody? And
I know
she
I
did.
was very surprised. I was like, Keith,
He makes her feel safe and comfortable. He seems like he wears his heart on his sleeve type of guy. I have some concerns that is he ready to take the next step with her? Because I don't know how complicated his home life is given his backstory. So I just wonder if that's maybe will that be a barrier between them? Because he still has this ex-wife, I presume, maybe in his life or in his daughter's life. So I don't know what kind of complications his background might present to a future relationship. So that's, I guess, what my concern is, because I think that he's a very, very strong contender.
I think he's probably one of the best ones. I think the biggest thing that will come up will be the distance. That's a huge distance factor.
I forgot San Jose isn't just LA. San Jose is deep into the state.
It's deep into it. So it's like, that's far away. Yeah. I think one of the most emotional parts for me was when all the guys sat around watching the video of their children. That is when I was tearing up. I was like, it was super sweet.
Do you know what? I don't recall which one it was, but their mother was the one who called. And the mother, oh my God, that's what really got me, is that the mother mother must be, I don't know, 80s, very 90s, old. And called in to show support for the son. But all of those personal videos were a nice, emotional manipulation for us and for Joan.
Yeah, that's true.
They show it right before the rose ceremony when she has to say goodbye to, I think it's six guys. She says goodbye to 6 guys. So they upped the emotional stakes on that one with those videos.
They did. But I enjoy the videos. I like that we got to see better insight into the guys. But honestly, I'm super excited that they're cutting them down. There's too many men. I want to see her go on personal dates and build relationships.
So after the videos,
Yeah.
Joan delivered such a kind, beautiful speech, expressing her gratitude to all of them for, taking a chance and coming out to be with her on this journey. And she says that they're all winners for putting themselves out there in pursuit of love in their golden years. And it was such a beautifully executed speech.
If you leave, you have already won. You are here and you have shown the world that you have heart and you have a sense of adventure and that you are looking for love and you're doing it in your golden years and you're a great example to everyone. So I have faith, and my hope for you, if you go home tonight, is that you will find love because you have put it out there in a huge way.
Was there a teleprompter? Did she write this? Was it written for her? And was there a teleprompter? Because
I don't think so.
It was just so beautifully done.
I think she's just very poised. She seems very poised. That seems like her personality. That's probably why they picked her.
Yeah. Elegant was a word a lot of guys used to describe her as elegant. And then we begin the rose ceremony.
I don't even remember. There were too many men. And I was like, let's just figure out who goes home. There were a lot of men.
Okay.
Most of them I were not surprised who stayed. And the people who left, I couldn't even remember them. I'm like, did we meet you? Some of them I don't recall at all.
Yeah. We actually did meet every single one. And I have notes on every single one. So I can just give a little one line just to tell people who some of these contestants are. First of all, we know that Keith is safe because he already got the first impression rose. So the other men who got roses, Pascal, Kim, Chalk, Jonathan, Jordan, Michael, which Michael, I was a little surprised at. Banking CEO from North Carolina. He's 65. I didn't think he was so tight. But anyway, Gary, 65, very effusive, from California, retired finance executive. He looked kind of young too, actually, Gary. Very fun dude, came out dancing. He was dancing with Joan. Greg with 2 G's at the end. Which that annoyed me right there. It is, So Greg, retired university vice president from Florida. I'm not big on Florida on a whole. Greg had a lot to say actually in the episode, but didn't really say much worth repeating. Bob got one. Bob is a chiropractor from Marina Del Rey. Bob wasn't my cup of tea. Jack got a rose. Charles L. got a rose. We talked about him earlier. Guy got a rose. I don't know if we talked about Guy, but basically, Guy, ER doctor from Nevada, age 66. She liked Guy. She thought he was cute. She told the camera, oh, he's really cute.
Okay.
Charles K., the guy with the gimmicky, oh, I've got a cane.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I don't need it. He got a rose. Okay. Oh, also, Dan got a rose. I don't remember Dan. Dan was the private investigator.
Okay.
And he's the one who walked out with glasses. He's like, damn, Joan. I was like, oh, no, Dan. No, Dan. Christopher was the contractor from New York who gave her prune juice shots.
I remember that. Yep.
And his reasoning was ridiculous. And Gil got a rose. He was the dude who tossed Joan a baseball and said he had heard that she's a great catch. And Mark got a rose, obviously.
Of course,
So the guys who didn't get a rose were Pablo, Thomas, Ken, RJ, Bill, and David. Now, I actually thought David, who came out on horseback, I actually thought he would make it past the first episode, but he did not. Because that gimmick was a fail. Because the
horse ran away. Yeah, he tried his best.
Yeah, the other guys, we could talk about them, but there really wasn't much going on with them. So now as we enter week 2, there are 18 men vying for Joan's attention. I really wish she'd get rid of 9 and we could get it down to half, but obviously we need a full season of episodes.
Hopefully soon. Maybe they'll get rid of a handful more this next episode and then we can kind of take our time, do one-on-one dates. I hope.
Yeah. Do you have any other comments or observations at this time?
I think that was it. It was a pretty straightforward episode. Not that much happened.
Well, that's all we got for you. Tune into Romance Recap next week when we recap week 2. Stay golden, friends.